All right, so welcome also from my side. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Malte Zapf, so you have a voice through the name. Another short information for you at the beginning. Mr. Tessin, as you can read here as another name, has unfortunately dropped out at a short notice due to illness. So kindly, our managing director, Mr. Henning Vogler, has stepped in for him. And yeah, I would now like to hand over to Henning.
Yeah, so very warm welcome from my side as well. So my job in this webinar is to explain shortly the initiative of smart cabinet building. And then Malte will show you some ideas of designing workplaces in manual assemblies in general. And then I will again transfer these ideas to the needs of smart cabinet building. So the initiative Smart Cabinet Building is founded with the companies Weidmüller, Comax, Zuken, and us, Armbruster Engineering. And we'd like to provide integrated solutions for current and future challenges for customers in a cabinet building field by networking technology and expertise across all the process steps typical for smart cabinet building. So what is the basic idea? Malte, can you show the next slide?
Mm-hmm.
The basic idea is to have all the information regarding the cabinet in a digital twin so that we can feed this information into the processes and work steps beginning from engineering, going through component assembly, cabinet assembly, wiring, and last but not least, testing and service. So our focus from Armbruster Engineering is the non-automated field, let's say. So the first area for us is the component assembly. I will explain it a little bit later on, and the cabinet assembly. So Malte, your turn.
All right, so now let's have a look at my part. In the following, I will show you everything you need to pay attention to when planning a workstation in your assembly. First of all, I would like to start by briefly explaining what Armbruster Engineering and especially the Elam system does normally. So the Elam platform offers three main models that can be accessed by a landing page. The first one, the administration, where our customers can set up and edit their work instructions and for example, the user administration independently. The work instructions can be set up by the flowchart editor, so you have the possibility to display also branched workflows. Yeah, as you can see here on the picture. The assistant is where the employee at the workplace can see the already set up work instruction step by step, also seen here in the picture. The third and the last model is the evaluation. All data from the assembly process is recorded in a database and can be displayed by an individual dashboard as in the third picture. Yeah, what do we achieve through this? On the one hand, we assist you and your employees to clearly display even a high variance in your assembly. In addition, we secure our process so we can perform our work as error-free as possible. And the third one is the documentation. We enable you a full and complete traceability. In which areas do we use Elam? The first one is the order picking, the provision of parts at the workplace to ensure that the right parts are always in the right place at the right time. The second one, the assembly, in which testing can also take place at the assembly workstation or by an independent testing workstation. The fourth point is the information. For example, to enabling your factory to go paperless in order to be able to meet quality requirements. All right, let's now take a closer look to the actual topic of designing manual workstations. First of all, we need to know which products I want to produce at the workstation, why it is important. I need to know in advance which parts can or do I want to keep on the hand at the workplace. Have I planned enough space for the boxes with all the parts? Depending on the application, it is advisable to use a swing frame, as you can see here on the picture, to have everything in the best ergonomic reach of the operator. So the second consideration is the workstation itself. The work surface should not be oversized because we want to avoid unnecessary storage space at the work area. With the table height, you should pay attention to the fact that the working height is always dependent on the workpiece and whether it is standing or sitting work or even both. In addition, you should plan enough space for lighting and power supply. This may seem unimportant to you, but the power supply is often forgotten in practice. So mostly we have a high number of tools and devices that needs to be supplied with power at the workplace. Which one that can be, I will show you in a moment. In the following, I have selected a few hardware components that occur most frequently in practice. The first one is the PTL system. If you have a high number of C parts at the workstation, the system reduce search times and incorrect removals. With the request button, you can also use it to report impending emptiness. The second one is the computer equipment for worker guidance or maybe for document display, as we have with the Elim system. First of all, I would need a monitor and the employee's field of vision, and of course also a station PC such as our smart work assistant. Often in use is the screw driving technology. This includes not only the screwdriver itself, which must be considered. It may also be that you want to use a handling arm for position monitoring. This must be measured before so that it does not restrict the employee's field of vision. We also need a suitable location for the respective screw control. The size can be totally different between the different types of controls. You can see here one screwdriver control from the company, I forgot the name, but it's, as you can see, this is a more little one. Yeah, another one is the, I'm sorry, it's the bit cube you can also use so that the bit removal and the bit application is also supervised by a system. So these are just a few examples of hardware components that can be placed at your workstation. For all of them, it's important. Plan in advance exactly what hardware and what devices will be needed in your assembly. Make sure that all these devices also find their place at the workstation. Another important point is the ergonomic at the workplace. In most workplaces, it makes sense to able to respond to different requirements of the product manufactured. So It is an activity that performed in standing or sitting, so this does not have to be adjusted manually each time by the employee and take up unnecessary time. There's a possibility to extend your workplace with a desk manager, as you can see here on the picture. This allows the preferred desk height and lighting to be adjusted as required and saved on the key system. Yeah, that's from my side. Now I will hand back to my colleague, Mr. Vogler, who will tell you a few more important points when it comes to designing a workstation, especially for the cabinet assembly.
Thank you, Malte. Yeah, so we're gonna have a look in the field of smart cabinet building. And if you go to the next slide, you will see the first area of which Armbruster Engineering is focused for. So in this ideal process, we have a component assembly. And before this component assembly, we have an automated rail assembler. This rail assembler will place all the components on the rail that are the, let's say, the high runners. But to complete this rail, we have empty spaces that have to be filled by hand. And this is what component assembly does. And I will show you what is the important things in workplaces for this field of assembly. So as you can see, it's pretty similar to the workstation in general. We have also the parts and the pick to light, and we have the screw driving technology, and we have the monitor for the digital working instruction. But we have some special things. First of all, we have a projector. This is for displaying positions onto the product, because in smart cabinet assembly, we often have to place the information where to put a certain component. And this is solved by a projecting system. And we have also the topic of pick to light, because we have a lot of components. We will go deeper into detail later on. We have again the screwing technology, because some components, as you know, are not just placed, but also screwed. And then we have a special device or a fixture for fixing the mounting rail. So let's have a deeper look into the pick to light issues. In terms of component assembly, we often have a really huge number of components. And it's also a huge number of pretty small components. So this is why we have to place a lot of different parts in the workplace, as you can see on the photo on the right-hand side. So because in this process, the manual workplace is responsible for building the variants. So we have to put a huge number of places into the center of the workstation. This is also, again, the high runners. And as you can see on the sideboard of on the right-hand side, we can place the low runner modules, let's say. And so we have to place more or less between 30 and 60 parts per workstation, typically for those component assembly places. And again, you see the pick to light. So we have to build up it very narrow to place all the pick to light modules, because we want to guide the worker by picking the right parts, although it's this high number of several parts. So coming up to the topic of the projector system, as I told you, we often have to give the employees the information where to put a component or where to place these bridges to connect different clamps. And this is solved with a projector that displays the information direct onto the product. And to have the correct position on the product, we have to define the right distance between the projector and the surface of the work bench. And therefore, there are factors given by the vendors of the projector systems. And then you can define the distance, as you can see in this red arrow. And then we have to place it at the right height in the workplace. And to always find the right position, it's also very important to have a fixed position of the product. And therefore, we use special fixtures. In this case, it's a kind of magnetic stripe that holds the rail if you put it on the left-hand side to this block. And then it's always the same position to start and to count where we have to place the components. And with the help of the magnetic devices, we can hold the rail so that the employee can place the clamps, the components, whatever he needs, without moving the rail on the bench. And on top, we have a kind of swivel device. You see these blocking items on the left-hand side. So you can swing the product in the horizontal axle, maybe for bringing up the markers or stuff like that. So this is a very special fixture for this special use case. So let's have a look to the next use case for us, typically in this initiative, Smart Cabinet Building. This is the cabinet assembly where we build up the mounting plate. And in this case, the workbench again looks pretty similar. As you can see on the right-hand side on the photo, we have also the parts coming from, let's say, from behind or from the front. We have the monitor for the digital working instruction. And again, we have a projecting system on the right-hand side. It's a little bit higher because the space that we have to display is a little bit more huge. This is where we project the information where to put the components on the mounting plate. And because of the fact that we also in these workplaces have a huge number of parts, but of in general bigger parts, we often use a changeable part wagon that you can switch. And this is how to set up the workplace for different variants or for different products in a very short time, and keeping the idea of a guided assembly using pick-to-light and so on, because the pick-to-light is fixed in the workbench itself, and you just remove this card and change it to another one to have other components in the same workplace. And to ensure you have always the right card, you also can identify the card or the wagon with a barcode or QR code, so that the Elam system can ensure that you have always the right parts for the right variant or the right product in the workplace. So this is some special issues for the idea of smart cabinet building.
All right, so thank you, Henning. Yeah, we are nearly at the end. So before we let you go, I would like to give you the conclusion for the topic with the questions you need to ask before you're planning to build your workplace, and you need to answer before you start to build your workplace. So for the generally workstations, these are the questions. What kind of components do I need to accommodate? What kind of tools do I need to store? And what IT components do I need to accommodate? For the cabinet assembly particular, these would be the questions: what surface do I want to protect? And how do I fix the product for the projection? So we are at the end of our web session. Where can you get some more informations? You see here our contact details. If you want to contact Armbruster Engineering directly, you can refer to me or my colleague. Even if Mr. Tessin is not taking place today, but of course he also can answer everything concerning the SBC. If you need further information, or if you have any further questions to the partners of the SCB, you can see it here to the different companies. Yeah. Another information, the webinars from the SCB series always take place on the last Wednesday of a month. Here you can see the next events in the coming months. So we would be happy to see or hear you again at the upcoming events. And in addition, for any further informations, you can also go on our website at smart-cabinet-building.com. So before I want to say thank you to you, I will have a look on the questions. I think we have a little bit time left for one or two questions. So one question is asked: it is only used in the theory, or it is also used in the practice? Maybe Henning, that's one question for you.
Yeah, so it's definitely not just theory, because we have first workplaces similar to them that we have shown in this webinar, placed in the Weidmüller production. And because of this initiative, Smart Cabinet Building, we have the first 2 or 3 customers that are using these or kind of these workplaces in their own production areas. So if you have a need, you can really order these ideas and solutions for your production up tomorrow.
All right, thank you, Henning. Yeah, maybe the second one, can I use the Elim system independently of the smart cabinet building? Yeah, maybe I will answer this. Definitely yes, the Elim system can be implemented in the areas I named before, so at the assembly, and yeah, so it's no matter what product is involved. So yeah, definitely yes, it can be used by itself without the smart cabinet building. All right, I think that's enough for now. I would like to say thank you very much for your listening to our web session. As I said, if you have any further questions, don't hesitate to get in contact to us or to our partners. And the last words are up to Henning. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you for joining this webinar, and I hope we could give you some ideas. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact us, and maybe we see again in another webinar or maybe around the Hannover Fair. And so I'd like to thank you again, and I wish you all a nice weekend and a nice Easter break. Thank you.
Thanks.